Knowing your audience is an important aspect of leading a food demo or nutrition lesson. Before you go to an event, make sure to get in touch with either Foodbank staff or partner site staff about the people you will be engaging with. Knowing the age, culture, interests, barriers, and preferences of the people you will be working with will help you make educated choices about the way you present your material. A key thing to remember when doing outreach is presenting need-to-know versus nice-to-know information. Need-to-know information is part of the take-home message you want your participants to understand. Nice-to-know information are extra fun facts that aren't crucial for the participants to know in order to understand the lesson. For example, if you're teaching participants how to cut a butternut squash, it is important to talk about basic knife safety. It is not critical, however, to talk about how many varieties of squash there are. In a food demo, you may not have that much time. So keep in mind who your audience is and adjust to the situation to provide the need-to-know information. For example, if a family comes to your station, you can share information about the recipe that may be more relevant to them, such as, using this ingredient in this recipe can help provide more nutrients for your kids in a meal that they actually will enjoy eating. You may not always be able to tailor the information of your demonstration to everyone you're interacting with, but it's important to keep in mind who you're talking to and what may be important for them. In nutrition lessons, it's extremely important to be in tune with your audience. You have more time to get to know participants and find out what is important to them by engaging in their stories. For example, if you find out that making it through the month with groceries is hard for a number of participants, you can include information on how to stretch their dollars, such as buying foods like dried beans, making a big batch, and using them throughout the week in different meals. In both food demos and nutrition lessons, it's important to be aware of the demographic you will be engaging with ahead of time so that you can provide them with relatable and relevant information. Here are a few tips for working with children. It is important to come prepared with a kid-friendly recipe and approach. This typically means choosing a recipe that doesn't include spicy ingredients, including activities that are age-appropriate, and giving your lessons in shorter, kid-friendly words and phrases. If you have any concerns about choosing a kid-friendly recipe, get in touch with the Foodbank and we will find one for you and the kids you'll be working with. Adults and families can generally be introduced to more variety and complexity in food demos and nutrition lessons. If you know you will be doing outreach towards a specific demographic, it's a great practice to think of culturally appropriate and accessible recipes. For example, you may love the idea of sharing a recipe for homemade date and nut bars. But if dates aren't found in their neighborhood grocery store, or they are so expensive that no one would likely try the recipe at home, you should probably pass. If you will be doing sustained outreach in one neighborhood or geographical area, get to know your audience by visiting local grocery stores, markets, and restaurants. What are they eating? What's familiar to them? This will better inform your decisions for recipes and approach in outreach. Seniors require special attention in food demos. It is important to avoid items that are difficult to chew, like raw carrots and nuts, and items that may not sit well, such as spicy foods. While cooking with fresh produce is highly recommended, using canned or frozen foods in your recipes are also encouraged when working with seniors. Just make sure they are low in sodium. The Foodbank has senior-friendly recipes available upon request if you know you will be doing outreach among seniors. So now let's review the key pieces of information about knowing your audience. Do some research on your audience's background before doing the food demo or lesson. Focus on the need-to-know instead of the nice-to-know information. And adjust your approach based on the demographic of your audience and the amount of time you have. Knowing your audience is super important when leading a food demonstration or nutrition lesson. Being sensitive to the different populations that live in our community honors the traditions and resources within those populations. And it also allows for us to have more impact in our outreach. Thank you for partnering with the Foodbank of Santa Barbara County.